How we doing, everybody, and welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back. It's the end of March. March 26th. Holy crap. Baseball is here. We're talking baseball tomorrow already. Brewers, Yankees. Can't wait for that to start. We got to talk about that today on the show. We got to talk about, the Badgers. We got to talk about the Badgers men's basketball team. The collapse, you can almost say. I'm going to say the heartbreak, because this one, for me, was one of the most heartbreaking Badger losses I've seen. And I'm going to explain why. We've seen a lot, but I'm going to explain why, to me, that was one of the most heartbreaking losses. So we're going to talk about that today. We got women's hockey. We got NCAA wrestling. We got, women's basketball, Wisconsin women's basketball. We want to talk about that because there is some crap that's going on with Wisconsin women. So much to get to today. It's not even funny. We're going to get to it all here. So, Aaron, how we doing on this Wednesday? It's a great Wednesday.
Yeah, doing pretty well, man. Like you said, this month to me, this month has gone faster than February, and it's longer. Obviously, with the days in the month, this month has flown by. I did see I think it's a Congress, like somebody with the, running for office out there. Long story short, out there in Wisconsin, kind of, going around door to door type of thing. Snow was coming down. Like, long story short, snow was coming down when he was out there campaigning a little bit. And that was only a couple of days ago. I'm like, dang, man, you guys it doesn't stop. It's April. It's dang near April. You know what I mean? But
that's why American Family Field has a roof. That's the only reason why. That's why we got a roof down there. So we're going to have baseball start up when it's supposed to down there at American Family Field. So, hey, we got lots to get to today. If you want to find us across social media, make sure you do it. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. You can find us on Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok. Just search Wisco Sports on the Go. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. Search Wisco Sports on the Go with Trage. And if you want to email us, let us know what you're thinking. Trage's mailbox, everything like that. Get your opinion heard here on the show. Just go Wisco Sports on the Go at gmail.com. That is Wisco Sports on the Go at gmail.com. And you could text us. If you want to text into the show, you definitely can. 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914. So, Aaron, over this last weekend, we saw a lot of, I went into the weekend. And actually, it was on Saturday. It was on Saturday night there. And my cousins over, and my uncles were over, and everybody's over, and we're watching the Badger game. And we're going to watch Stephen Buchanan here from Central Wisconsin. We're going to watch him down there at the NCAA championships. We're going to watch, a little bit of both, right? And also Marshfield boys. We're down there at WIAA State for the boys there. So we're like, we could go 3 for 3 tonight. Stephen could win. The Badgers could win. Marshfield could win. We'd have them all. Bam, right? Well, Steven won. We got that. We got the big win out of Steve there. That was awesome. So got to watch that. That was an exciting match all the way around. So we got to see that. But outside of that, the Badgers, didn't go so well. Marshfield, I hate to knock on, I hate to knock on high school teams and everything like that. I don't want to take complete shots here, but son of a gun, just hang on to the basketball. Stop turning it over. There was like a minute left and they turned the ball over twice. Gave Wisconsin Lutheran the ball back. That there's no shot clock, so all they had to do is run clock and get fouled. And Wisconsin Lutheran stole the ball twice there. They had the lead. Marshfield did late in that one, 4-point lead, and they blew it. They blew the lead there, and it happens. It sucks. It happens, but it was just like, geez Louise, just hang on to the basketball, boys. Dude, goodness gracious. So that sucked. That sucked to watch there. But a heck of a season. Like, all in all, that's all I want to say is a heck of a season out of Marshfield. They're just getting down there, beating Waunakee there. One of the better teams, the number 2 team in the semifinals there, and then getting to that state game and leading in that state game against a very good Wisconsin Lutheran team. This is a team who's got guys, Con Knuppel's brothers are going to Wisconsin Lutheran. So you beat up a team like that, a team that beat Oshkosh North, who beat De Pere, one of the best teams in the state. So, you're talking about a pretty darn good performance by Marshfield there. Just couldn't get it done down the stretch there. So, once again, congratulations to those guys there from Marshfield. Just sucks that they couldn't get it done down there at the state game. But Steve got her done. Got her done there against Bar. That was an exciting match. It was in between. We were flipping back and forth in the Badger game over, and we saw Steve wrestle there, and I was excited, and then it's like, I don't want to turn it back to the Badger game because now I'm up and I'm excited watching this game or watching this match here from Steve. But that match against Bar was awesome there, won by decision there. And then watching that 285 match between Gable Stevenson, and I believe that was Hendrickson there from Oklahoma State. Goodness, was that exciting. Because Gable Stevenson, I know there's a lot of controversy around him with, leaving. He plays when he technically left wrestling the first time. He left his shoes on the mat there, and then he took off, like, I'm done. I'm going to walk away. Then he went WWE, NXT or whatever, and then he was in the, went for the Bills, was in the NFL for a little bit. Then he comes back to Minnesota there, wrestles this last year, was fantastic. I mean, he's fantastic. He's a great wrestler. Like, I don't want to take away from the guy. He's fantastic, but the story is just so, I don't know. I wanted him to lose. Like, I wanted him to lose. So, like, hearing the story, seeing all of it, understanding the story, it's just like, dude, you don't have any people, like, Minnesota people are cheering for you, but outside of that, nobody's cheering for you. We want to see the upset here, and Hendrickson pulled it off. That was an exciting match. That was huge. That was awesome to watch there. So a great night of wrestling there. The women's hockey team over the weekend there, Wisconsin women's hockey got a huge championship win over Ohio State, went into overtime there, got into overtime off a penalty shot. That was awesome. I saw Mark Johnson, I believe it's Mark Johnson. Yes, Mark Johnson there. He asked, all of them, do you want to shoot whatever? And I believe who took that penalty shot there for the Badgers. I can't remember who it was there. Who the heck took that penalty shot?
Kristen, maybe Kristen Sims here.
Was it Sims? Yeah, it was Sims. I think it was Sims. I'm pretty darn sure it was Sims there, but it was cool. Yep. Regardless, whoever it was, I think it was Sims too. But he asked, he's like, who wants to take it, right? Who wants to take the shot? And she raised her hand. She's like, I do. And then she took off. And that was awesome. That was awesome. He put full faith in his team and said, who wants to take this shot for the win? I mean, tie. This was it. They were down. This was for the tie to force it basically to go to overtime. And she's like, I got it. And bam. Took it. Yeah, Kristen Sims there, right there. That was awesome. I mean, that was awesome there for him. And then, to go into overtime and win it there, just a heck of a day for the Badgers. They're the Lady Badgers. So great to see that. I mean, all in all, a pretty good weekend with that, right? Badgers get a national championship, not a curling national championship. We already had that in the bag. But, I mean, a national championship nonetheless there. And then we saw, and I mean, we got lots to get to. We got Brewers and Badger basketball, men's to get to later on here. But this women's basketball hire that they had, I had to get it explained to me because I saw on social media when they made the hire, right? And I saw that it was what's her name there, Robin Pidgeonton, whatever, however you want to say it, their former Missouri coach, right? And I was looking at her record, and I'm like, she's been at Missouri for 15 years now, or 15 seasons basically down there. 250 and 218. So she's just above 500 there. 4 NCAA appearances in 15 seasons. 4 NCAA appearances. Aaron, can you look up how many Wisconsin has had in total over in a while? Like how many NCAA tournaments has Wisconsin been in recent memory? Because it's been a while. It's been a while for this women's basketball team for the Badgers there. But I mean, I look at this hire and I was like, why? Like, what made her stick out over? I mean, I saw there was a couple other candidates in there. Tamara Moore. She was in there. She played at Wisconsin, I believe, and she was in the running for it there. I mean, there was definite other coaches that were available. This was the hire that they went with. I don't know. Aaron, did you find the record over the years there?
Yeah. So the last time, Wisconsin Badgers women basketball in the NCAA tournament was 2010. So you're talking, 15 year drought really. So before that though,
coaching at Missouri.
Right. I mean, before that though, I mean, they were pretty, I mean, you're looking back in the 90s, 92, 95, 96, 98, early 2000s, they went 2001, 2002, then the 8-year gap to 2010, and then they haven't been back since. So, yeah, it's been a little bit of a rut as of late.
See, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything about women's basketball because I'm not going to lie to you. I don't. I'm not going to say that I do. But I look at the record. I look at, what she's been able to accomplish in her career. Her career in 30 years as a head coach, she's 585 and 375. What one of those numbers scream off the board to you? She's 60%. Like what number there? I mean, 20 postseason experiences in 30 years, 20 postseason appearances in 30 years as a head coach there. screams like this is the coach that is going to take the Badgers over the top there? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You listen to Chris McIntosh there, and he says, I'm extremely pleased with Robin. Will be joining the Wisconsin athletics family. She's accomplished so much as a coach and has produced winners both on the court and in the classroom. Robin has Midwest roots and coaching experience, and she and her family will fit right into the local community as well as our state. She doesn't recruit Wisconsin. My biggest problem with, and this is my biggest problem with Greg Gard too. You want to hear my biggest problem with Greg Gard? You want to hear my biggest problem with, Luke Fickell? And you want to hear my biggest problem with any coach at Wisconsin? If you don't get the best talent in the state, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with when your best talent always leaves. I can't tell you how many of the men's basketball players, Con Knuppel, who's at Duke right now, Wisconsin native. Johnny Davis was the last big guy to go to Wisconsin. I mean, yeah, you got Kinginger now going there from De Pere, and that's a fantastic signing. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love that signing for the Badgers, but let's look at the years. I mean, how many guys do we see go to Virginia because, oh, yeah, Tony Bennett's there. He's got Wisconsin ties. Oh, yeah, Coach K is grabbing Jalen Johnson and all these guys from the state of Wisconsin there. It's ridiculous. So when I look at her and I'm like, where do you recruit well? She doesn't recruit well in the state of Wisconsin. You want somebody, and this is my personal opinion on it. I don't care if she came from Florida Atlantic, right? Like Dusty May went up to Michigan from Florida Atlantic. I don't care about that. If you recruit well from the state, that's what I want. I want that. I want somebody whose roots aren't Midwest roots. I don't care if you got Midwest roots. I want you to have roots in the state of Wisconsin. I want you to have people in the state of Wisconsin saying, I want to go play for you. Looking at this and looking at Missouri, who last season I believe was like 3-13 in conference play, and in her last two seasons she's 25-37. I'm going to go with her recruiting classes aren't the greatest. That's plain and simple. I look at the numbers. I'm just looking at the numbers here. Yeah, you're in the SEC. It's a tough conference. Sure, it's a tough conference down there. The Big Ten's not going to be like a cakewalk for you, and if you can't get the players up here, it's going to be even worse. So I'm looking at this hire from Wisconsin. I'm like, what did you improve? They go year after year, and it's like, well, women's basketball just isn't that important to Wisconsin. If they had a good women's basketball team, people would tune in. People would watch. They would. I loved watching Sarah Williams this last year for the Badgers. She was fantastic, but she's gone. She transferred out. Why? Why would you want to stay at a program where you're not going to win? Because it's just not a winning attitude. I know a lot of people hate on Greg Gard and hate on what the men's basketball team is doing because they can't get past the second week and this and that. Guess what? They have success. They make it fun to watch. This team, I mean, right now, looking at Wisconsin women's basketball, what do you have to look forward to at this very moment? So when I see a hire like this by Chris McIntosh, it sucks. And then I go on social media, and I had to have this explained to me because I didn't really understand it. I saw somebody posted about it, but I didn't really understand it there. Basically, they used a temp agency to make this hire. Some kind of, it's called turnkey or something like that. Agency basically to find coaches and ADs. And if that's the truth, if that's what they did, and I don't know if that's what they did, but if that's what they did, and that's what I'm hearing, and that's what I'm seeing here, and this guy I've follow here on Twitter and everything like that, he's usually pretty reliable. He said that that's what they did. And if they did it that way, that's a lazy look. And that's McIntosh. I don't know what it's going to take to put his job on the line, right? Because right now he keeps extending Luke Fickell, and that ain't getting better. So if this is the keep, we're just going to keep going lateral with these moves. I don't get it. I don't get it there. So Wisconsin women's basketball, they make their hire. Robin will be joining this Wisconsin women's basketball team. She'll be coaching them now, but I don't understand the move. So we're going to reset. We got more to get to. We got Badger basketball. We got Brewers on the backside here. So we'll be right back here on the show. Welcome back in. This is Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back. It's Wednesday, March 26th here on the show. We got to get to our dad joke of the day. We got to get to our dad joke of the day. And that joke has got to be brought to you by one of our sponsors here. So we got Sport and Spine Clinic of Greenwood, Wisconsin there. Expert traditional physical therapy and structural integration programming. Call for flexible scheduling and evaluations. Just call 715-267-4583. That is 715-267-4583 for all your evaluations and, physical therapy needs down there at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood there. But I got two dad jokes today. One comes from my grandma. She's like, she heard the dad joke last week. She's like, I got to get you a new one here. So how do cows stay up to date? Aaron, how do cows stay up to date?
That's a trick question. I wouldn't even have the slightest clue on that one.
They read the moose paper.
Yeah, I could have sat here all night. I wouldn't have came up with that.
That's a clever one. That's a clever one there from Grandma. So we got ours. We got our dad joke of the day here. Why do fathers take an extra pair of socks when they go golfing?
Beats me again.
In case they get a hole in one. Yeah. Fact of the day there. That's your fact of the day, too. That's your fact of the day. Take a pair of socks with you in case you get a hole in one. So we got lots more to get to here tonight on the show. We want to get over into the Badger. We want to talk about this Badger game because, might as well rip the Band-Aid off while we're here, right? Might as well rip it off. Before we get to the Brewers or anything like that, let's rip the Band-Aid off of this Badgers men's basketball, basically season at this point here. So the Badgers got the win over Montana, and that was, that win, nothing really crazy to talk about in that one. They took care of business as they should. It was one of those kinds of games there. I said it going into it. I said that BYU team they scared me. And I remember, I was sitting there, like I said, had some family over to watch the games there, watch the wrestling and everything like that. And I was sitting there next to my uncle, and right before the Badger versus BYU game started, I said, if the Badgers can't shoot, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because if the Badgers can't shoot, this BYU team, I know they can shoot. I know they can shoot the lights out of a building. Well, they shot the lights out of a building. Plain and simple. BYU had a great game shooting the basketball, 46% from three, 49% from the field in this one. And 41 rebounds. They out-rebounded the Badgers there. A lot of second chances. Second chance points hurt Wisconsin in that game against BYU. I don't care what anybody says. Second chance points hurt the Badgers. 13 offensive rebounds for BYU. 13 offensive rebounds. I know the Badgers had 11 themselves, but 13. Giving up 13 offensive rebounds, you can't do that. You can't do that and expect to win a basketball game there. Points off turnovers, the Badgers, they led in that. They led in that category there. But you look at points in the paint, 38 points for BYU in the paint in that game. There's your difference. There's your big difference. The free throw line, the BYU, they're a team that usually struggles from the free throw line. This game here, 15 for 16. Badgers, 23 for 29. You lost by 2. You can keep going through the stats. You can keep looking at it all right there. There was a lot of things that went wrong for Wisconsin in this game here. John Tonje did everything that he possibly could, 37 points. Struggled to start the game. And that's kind of where I wanted to allude to with my discrepancy, I guess, with the Badgers in the start of this game was they were settling for a lot of threes. They were settling. They weren't working the ball around. It wasn't moving side to side. They were settling for a lot of threes. And when you settle for threes, especially against a team like BYU who likes to run, when they get long rebounds, they can get out and move it there. That's going to hurt you. That's going to hurt you bad. And that's what it did in this first half here because the Badgers, they got hot in the second half. 53 points in that second half for the Wisconsin Badgers. They closed the gap in that second half. You want to know where your big difference of the game was? That last possession of the first half for Wisconsin there, I don't understand. Steven Krause shoots a little bunny there in the post, misses, and then BYU is able to take it the full length of the court with like 6 seconds, shoot a three, get 3 more points going into the half there. Look at your differences of your game right there. That's a big swing. That's a big swing heading into the half. There was a lot of things that went wrong in this one. A lot of things that went wrong for the Wisconsin Badgers. And that last shot by John Tonje, I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but he stopped. When I rewatched that play over and over and over and over again, he had his guy beat. I don't know why he didn't just take him to the rim. Everybody, and I understand this one because I said this. I didn't say the same thing at the time, but I look at it again. I'm like, why didn't Greg Gard draw something up? He didn't draw anything up. They had 13 seconds. He had a timeout. The Badgers had the timeout there before they got the ball with 13 seconds. He didn't draw anything up. He basically just said, and I'm at a crossroads with this one because since it didn't work, I'm irritated by it. But if John Tonje would have went and got it, I'd been like, well, it's fine. I understand what Greg Gard was doing. Give it to your best player. Go get it. Go get me one, right? That's what you got to do. I'm going to be honest with you, and I had this discussion with a couple different people. I said personally, if anybody else would have taken that last shot, I'd have been ticked. I've been ticked. John Tonje is the guy who got you there. John Tonje has been that dude for the Badgers all season long. That dude. If anybody deserved to take that final shot, you could say Blackwell, sure. If Blackwell would have shot that and missed, I don't know if I would have been like, I think Blackwell should have taken that shot. I would have said, why didn't John Tonje touch the basketball? So putting it in his hands, I thought the play call, Steven Krall, I mean, he sealed his guy going downhill, gave Tonje a lane. Tonje stopped. I don't know why. He was trying to draw a foul. I don't get why. Just finish it, dude. Go to the rim. He had his guy beat. I watched that play multiple times. He had his guy beat. He was around him. But I'll be honest with you, watching it, I wish he would just shot the three. Because I'm going to put this in the simplest terms possible. They weren't going to win that in overtime. They weren't. They had no stops. They had nothing. They gave up 91 points. I am convinced the Badgers played the one team in the tournament who could actually shoot the basketball. Because I've watched the rest of the NCAA tournament so far. That has been some terrible offense across the board in a lot of these games. And then Wisconsin plays BYU, and you put up 89 points, and you lost. And you look at a lot of these other games here, and it's like, look at these final scores of some of these games that have happened so far, and it's like, where was that? Where's the offense in those games? The Badgers play a juggernaut team, and everybody else here, I mean, they got Colorado State putting up 71 points. Drake, I mean, Texas Tech plays Drake as a 3 seed there. Wisconsin, out of all the 3 seeds, Wisconsin got screwed. And this is why. BYU is from out west. This was like a home game for BYU. Look how many fans they had in the crowd. This was a home game for BYU. They didn't have to go anywhere. They play in elevation. This was neutral for them. They were like, this is our team, this is our place, right? So you had to play a juggernaut 6 seed who has 2 losses in their last 2 losses, and there's not been many losses for BYU, have been to Houston, who's one of the number 1 seeds in the entire tournament and could go to the Final Four, maybe a national championship. And that's their 2 losses in a while. That's a sucky draw. Wisconsin got a crappy draw. And I'm going to tell you this now. We can say, Greg Gard sucks, and we can say they didn't deserve to win that game. We can say all that crap, sure. But March is about where you draw. It is. It is honestly where you end up and who you draw in round 2. If VCU beats BYU, Wisconsin has an easier game round 2 against VCU. Good defensive team. Don't get me wrong. Good defensive team. But Wisconsin doesn't have to try to put up 92 points to try to beat VCU. No way. You look at the rest of this bracket here. Michigan State, they got New Mexico in game 2 there. Ole Miss played Iowa State. I would have taken Ole Miss if I was Wisconsin there. You look at a couple of these other teams that have had to play, like Maryland gets Colorado State there. Texas Tech gets Drake. And I know some of these are Cinderellas, and I get that and everything like that. But you look at the path that some of these teams have to take. I personally, if I was a Wisconsin Badger, if I was a Badger player or anything like that, I would have taken Illinois on again. I would have taken 6 seed Missouri on. I would have taken Ole Miss. BYU was the one team that Wisconsin was going to struggle to match up with, because they could shoot the lights out of a building. And if Wisconsin got cold, it was going to be a tough night. And that's what we saw. And Wisconsin did everything they could to try to get back in that game, and they couldn't. So that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm not trying to make an excuse for the Badgers. I'm not trying to make an excuse. Like, you got to win with the teams in front of you, you got to beat them, right? That's what I said going into it. I was like, it's going to be a tough game, but they got to beat good teams to get to the Final Four. Sometimes you get an easier path, though. Getting a round 2 game, basically on the road at BYU, not a very good situation to be in if you're the Wisconsin Badgers. First off, we already were saying, why did you end up as a 3 seed in Denver and playing on Thursday after you played on Sunday in the last game of the day in the Big Ten Championship, and you have to turn around and play right away on Thursday there early in the day against a Montana team? We were confused by that. And then they play BYU basically at home. It's like that was destined to be a tough time. And that's what we saw. And I don't think much less of the Badgers because of that game. All I think is, dang, that was a crappy spot to be in if you're the Wisconsin Badgers. So the Badgers dropped that game to BYU. BYU now moves on to take on Alabama there. So coming off this game, we come off this game here, and we look at, a lot of the first thing, of course, right? It's the Greg Gard, should we fire him, should we not fire him talk and everything like that. How do you come off of this? And I'm going to be completely honest with you. How do you come off this season and say we should fire Greg Gard? Serious. I will say this game here, Greg Gard chose the worst moment not to coach his team. Because Like I said before, that last play with 13 seconds left, Wisconsin had the ball. Why didn't he drop a play? I will agree with that. He chose the worst time not to coach his team. The Badgers, I mean, all in all, 27-10. Fourth in the Big Ten. Finished fourth in the Big Ten there. How do you look at that? How do you look at that and you say, we got to fire the head coach? You would be the first team ever to fire a head coach after going 27-10, probably. I can tell you that much. I don't know if there's been many other, unless if there's been a scandal or something in there. But how do you go off of that and you say, let's fire the head coach? Because that's what needs to happen here. I mean, honestly, if you want to say you don't believe Greg Gard's developing players enough, you don't believe this, you don't believe that, sure, you can have your own opinion. I'm not saying you can't. Like, I completely, I'm not going to, don't have your opinion on something. Like, I want you to have your opinion. If you think Greg Gard stinks, think he stinks, right? But you can't come off this season and say, Greg, I'm going to be completely honest with you. You guys are going to be really ticked off in the spring. You want to know why? Greg Gard's going to get an extension. He's going to get an extension. Greg Gard took a team that was destined for 12th place in the Big Ten. That's the preseason projection. They were figured to be 12th. You lost your number one scorer from last year. You lost your point guard, Chucky Hepburn. You lost one of your better players in Tyler Wall. Gone. Out the door. And you were returning a lot of questions, right? You had Nolan Winter coming back. It's like, whoa, I don't know what Nolan Winter is really going to bring to me. You had Steven Crowell. We know what Steven Crowell was about there. You had Max Klesman coming back. What was Max Klesman going to be able to do for you? He was subpar, not a great scorer or anything, but he was a heart and soul guy. You had this random guy. Who's John Tonje? We don't know, right? You had John Blackwell coming back, but what was John Blackwell going to give you year two there? You had, Carter Gilmore. Not really much to talk about with Carter Gilmore. Kamari McGee, who was he? Jack Janicki, the young fellow. What is he going to bring to this team? Xavier Amos, another transfer in from a smaller program. What's he going to bring? You had a team of nobodies. I'm going to be honest with you. You had a team of nobodies. That's the nicest way to put it. Like, this team, where were they? Like, you didn't look at this team and say, oh my God, like, this team is loaded. No, not a single person looked at this team and said, this team is loaded. They were a 3 seed in the tournament. They went to the Big Ten championship game. They were 4th in the Big Ten. They were 27-10. They beat Arizona. They went to Purdue and put up 94 points. This team put up historic numbers. Historic numbers. And I'm going to tell you, when we come back from the break, I'm going to tell you why this probably, for me, was the saddest Wisconsin Badger loss that I've seen in a while. I'm going to tell you about that, why I believe that, when we come back from this break. We'll be right back on Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back here on the show. I wanted to mention before we move on here, if you want to find us across social media, you can. Just find us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. Search us up there on Twitter, Twitch, and TikTok. Just search Wisco Sports on the Go. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. Search Wisco Sports on the Go with Trage. You can also email the show if you got some discrepancy or you want to tell us we suck, whatever you want to tell us. I don't care. Whatever you want to tell us out there. Search it up there. You can email us wiscosportsonthego@gmail.com. That is wiscosportsonthego@gmail.com. Or you can shoot us a text. Just shoot us a text there at 715-990-4914. That is 715-990-4914 there. Aaron, I went into the break and I said, this was one of the saddest losses that the Badgers have taken in a while. This is one of the saddest. I said I'd tell you why. Well, for me, I'll be honest with you, this loss was the worst because when I look at this team, there wasn't a single player where I looked at him and I was like, I don't like you. I don't like you, the way you act. I don't like the way that you are, anything like that. This was one of the most likable, fun. Like, this was I'm going to be honest with you, since probably that 2014, 2015, those seasons with the Badgers when they went to the back-to-back Final Fours, went to the national championship. This is the most fun I've had watching Badger basketball. Like, honestly. Like I said before the break, historic numbers, between scoring the basketball and, their free throw percentage, their threes per game, scoring, 94 points at Purdue. I mean, this team was just awesome to watch. Just fun. It was exciting. It was just exciting basketball. And like I said, I mean, you look at the players. John Tonje. I didn't know what to expect when he came in. I didn't know what to expect out of the guy. What John Tonje did in one season as a Wisconsin Badger put him into like the top 5 all-time Wisconsin Badger basketball players. Just the way that he scored it, the way that he played the game, watching him finish at the rim, watching all this, the crazy acrobatic stuff, the free throws, everything like that, irritating people because of the amount of free throws he shot. He was awesome. In one season, he changed the way we thought about Wisconsin basketball. And then you look at some of the other guys, John Blackwell, and I know a lot of people had their discrepancies with Stephen Crowell and Max Klesman at times, but I tell you what, those two are fun to watch, and they were exciting, and those two, they had some grit to them at times, right? Max Klesman definitely had the grit. Stephen Crowell, I wish he had a little bit more grit. Nolan Winter, I think he's going to be fun to watch for years to come here, same with John Blackwell. And then you look at the bench, and just what Carter Gilmore, what he brought to this basketball team, a guy who, I mean, was a walk-on. Not even regarded as much of a scorer or anything like this for this basketball team. And he was knocking down threes this year. That stroke looked smooth. He was just, fun to watch. Kamari McGee and Jack Janicki, those guys stepping up. Xavier Amos stepping into his own there in the Big Ten tournament and kind of into the tournament itself there. Just to see the production of these guys and where they were when they first came to Madison to what they showed this season here and their development as a team. And I got to be honest with you, I know we've said it in years past there with these Badger teams and the way that they gel, right? We said that, some of these teams, they look like a team. They're really gelled well together. This team gelled. They were fun. They were fun, man. And that's why this one sucked. Because I didn't want to see this one end. Just because of how much excitement it brought you to turn it on, right? Because there was, years for the Badgers where it was like 60 points a game. You're like, it's kind of boring, right? It's kind of boring basketball. But you watch. And that's why, again, with Greg Gard, a lot of people want to be fired. How do you fire a guy when he just he reinvented Badger basketball? You can say, yeah, he's not a great coach. That's your own opinion. But guess what? Wisconsin has now become more of a landing spot for players because the offense that they run. Why would you want to be a part? If you want to be a scorer, right? If you want to be a really good player and get to the next level, potentially, right? Why would you want to go to Wisconsin if you're going to run the shot clock out, put up about 50 shots a game as a team, and then score about 60 points? Why would you want to be a part of that? But if you watch this season here, where they're putting up 90 points a game and they're putting up 100 points a game, and it's like that's a different team. That's a different style that we're watching. That's an NBA style offense. That attracts. So guess what? I know we're at this point right now where we're like, Greg Gard, has he proven anything to us? I think next year he's got to prove that he can get past this, the round of 32. I agree with that. Because it's been a while since the Badgers have been in the Sweet 16. I will agree with that. He hasn't taken his guys there. But this team this season here, like I said before, sometimes it comes down to a path that you get. And they had a tough path. You got BYU second round. And anybody who's sitting there saying, oh, BYU wasn't that good of a team. A pretty darn good team. Pretty darn good team. You can sit here and you can say, they weren't that good, right? They were a 6th seed. I think they were, that was a bad seed for them, and it was a bad draw for the Badgers. Be honest with you. So my opinion on that one, I'm not sitting here firing Greg Gard today. I'm not. If you want to, sure. But I'm gonna tell you this right now. You might want to have somebody next to you when you get an alert on your phone that says Greg Gard has been extended by the Wisconsin Badgers. You might want somebody next to you to give you a hug because you might be a little upset. So that's probably what's leading up to spring. So the Badgers, we're gonna talk more Badgers because not right now, right? Not right now, but there's a lot more to get into, right, with this Badger team as we kind of wrap up the season here. We look forward because the transfer portal already open as of Monday. There was like 795 people or guys already in the transfer portal. That is utterly ridiculous. How do you open up a transfer portal when the tournament's still going on? I don't understand that, but that's a whole nother argument for a whole nother day. We don't even want to get into that today here, but that's just ridiculous. So, I mean, we're going to have transfer portal news. We're going to have, hopefully, right, cross your fingers, nobody leaving Wisconsin. I did see in good news, John Blackwell, Nolan Winter, those guys, Jack Janicki. I did hear, I heard from the quote from John Blackwell there. And he said basically, me, Nolan Winter, Jack Janicki, we talked about it. We all want to get to work this summer, get back here, get better, whatever. So you get that core players back. You get Xavier Amos back. Hopefully you bring back some of your young guys like Daniel Freitag, the young fella who's supposed to take over that point guard role. You get a guy like Freitag coming back. I think Amos is going to be huge there. But then you got, you're going to have recruits coming in too, like Keenzer and Garlock and Hayden Jones there from overseas. You're going to have transfer portal ads coming in. So you're going to have a lot of pieces, hopefully, that you retain. And then we're going to see the transfer portal ads. So hopefully we see some of that coming up here in the near future there for the Wisconsin Badgers. So lots more to get to there. John Tonje, though, I mean, he led through the first weekend. He led all scorers in the March Madness with 52 points in total there. So that was outstanding. I mean, he had 37 points there against BYU, but he led all scores in March Madness there for the first round. So, I mean, hats off. That was a fantastic season. I mean, hats off to the guy. And, I mean, hopefully NBA teams watch that and they're like, this dude needs a shot, because watching what he can do, not just from the three-point line, but finishing at the rim, everything in between, the free throw, everything. With John Tonje, he definitely deserves a shot there at the league, and it was exciting. It was exciting to watch him there. So hopefully we got some good news coming up here with the Badgers pretty soon here, transfer portal and everything else. But Aaron, we got to get over into the Mellow Yellow Minute here tonight. Aaron, the question we got tonight here is, since we got MLB right around the corner, right? We got to get to this one. Who has the most wins by a team in the last 5 years? So let's go top 5 list. Give me 3 of them. What do you got for 3 of those on that list?
I think two of them should be automatics. Dodgers got to be in there.
Yep, Dodgers number 1.
Yankees probably in there.
Yankees are number 5.
Wow. Houston, give me Houston.
Houston is number 3.
Okay. Whew, that number 2. Part of me thinks is it an NL team? Give me that.
One is an NL team. The other one is an AL team. Both in the East.
Because the Braves won the division more than the Phillies have in recent memory, I'll go Braves there.
Braves number 2 on the list there. The last one is in the AL East.
And we already have the Yankees crossed off there. I mean, Baltimore's been good.
Not that good.
Not
got
that
one
good.
that's pretty like right there all the time.
The
Even
Rays.
in
I guess
down
the
years,
Rays.
Yes,
right?
the Rays. Number
Yeah,
4.
that's a little surprising though, because they're
always consistent. They're always consistent.
Yeah.
Like the win-loss record, if you look at it, they're 405 and 303. So it's like they're right there every single year, but they're above 500. They keep
that's
going
impressive.
above
Yeah,
500.
that's impressive for sure.
They're always there. They're always there, them Tampa Bay Rays. So, I mean, we got lots to get to. Brewer talk here today here on the show, because the Brewers' first pitch coming up tomorrow there against the Yankees. Oh, my, I can't wait. I just cannot wait for some baseball to be back, because now, I shouldn't say that. If it was not for the Badgers losing in March Madness, I would not care as much about the Brewers, first pitch. I still care, right? I would still care, but it's like, when you lose something, you just want something else, something else back. And this is what I wanted back. And then I wanted to see the Brewers and Yankees here. So we got a 2:00 first pitch there in New York on ESPN for that one. We got Joe Buck and Bill Schroeder calling that game on the radio. That should be something. That should be definitely something to listen to there. But I mean, Aaron, this looks like it should be a pretty good matchup. I believe Freddie is going to go for the Brewers. Who's the Yankees opening day?
Rodon, because of Colby and down for the season, they got Rodon slotted in there.
Okay. Well, it's gonna depend. I don't know if Anthony or not Anthony. What the heck is Carlos Rodon? If Carlos Rodon has gone through like a career retooling, like getting a little bit better, right? Because Rodon kind of struggled last season there. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see opening day here. Fastball Freddie. Hopefully, right? He's going to be, on his game for that first pitch there. But I wanted to do what I want to do here today on the show, I had some over-unders. I'm trying to find my over-unders here for the Brewers. So I got bold predictions and over-unders. So what do we want to do first? Do we want to do bold predictions or do we want to do over-under stats?
Let's do over-under. Let's
over-under stats here. So we're getting close to commercial break here. But we'll start the over-under stats. If we don't get to them all, we'll hit them on the next time, right? So over-under, Brewers over-under. So I saw one of their one of the guesses, right? The predictions are always wrong, but one of the predictions for Brewers wins 82.5 was the projection. Over under 82.5 wins for the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm going to go over. I think they're in that 86 to 87 range. I don't know if they're going to, like last season they got, I believe it was like 93 is where the Brewers sat last season there. I don't think they're going to be in that same, I don't think they're going to get to that same spot, but I think they'll be, 86 to 87.
Yeah, I do too. I was trying to think of that myself. Like I thought for sure, like you said, they were over 90. But yeah, 82 and a half. You said 82 and a half, right? Or 83?
82 and a half is what the projection was.
Yeah, I think they get over that. I mean, we're talking about a lot of their pitching staff coming back this year that we didn't, not a lot, but a couple guys, right, we didn't see last year. So that being said, you add Quintana from the Mets. Like I know losing Willie, that sucks, but I think they have the pitching to overcome that. I think they go over too. I'll hammer that.
I like that there. So I got Sal Frelick, who has been hitting the absolute cover off the ball down there in spring training so far. I got him on my list here for over under 10 home runs. Over under 10 home runs for Sal Frelick for this season here. I was just trying to see if I could find, I think somebody did a stat on it there. He has 14 batted balls tracked by StatCast that have averaged exit velocity of more than 91.8. That is actually more. He's had his hardest hit ball of his entire career this spring. So over under 10 home runs. I'm going to go over. I'm giving him like 13 to 15. I think he sits in that range. What do you got here?
I think just pulling up his stats real quick. So last season, 475 at-bats, 2 home runs. I know it's spring training, take it with a grain of salt, but 41 at-bats in spring training, 2 home runs. So, I mean, the sample size is much smaller, and he's got 2. So, yeah, I'm going to take him right. I say he hits 11. I'll
11.
say he hits just
I like that.
over that.
I like that there. So we got more over-under. We got more over-under on the backside. We got bold predictions. We got all of it on the backside. It's break here. So we'll be right back here on the show. Welcome back in. This is Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. This next segment coming back here about a little bit of Brewer talk here that we got going on here before the opening day tomorrow. This next segment here is brought to you by Marshfield Motor Speedway, the half-mile paved track there just 3 miles outside of Marshfield there, west of Marshfield on County Road H there. Find upcoming events and races at marshfieldspeedway.com. That is marshfieldspeedway.com. Tons of family fun down there. You got to get down there this spring, summer, fall, whenever you can get down there, you got to get down there to the track there. So, Aaron, we were doing over-under when we went to the break there. We had over-under Sal Frelick for 10 home runs. We went the over. We got Brewers over 82.5 wins this season here. I got team ERA. So the team ERA, I believe last season, I was looking through the stats there from last season, and I had the over-under. Will they be over-under 3.65 there for the stats coming up here? I will pull up last season's stats there for the Milwaukee Brewers. What we saw ERA-wise right here, we had a 3.65 last season. That's why I wrote it down that way. 3.65. Do we believe the Brewers pitching staff goes for over or under a 3.65? I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna say they pitch. I'm gonna say like a 3 point, because if the Brewers are gonna have 90 some wins with the lineup they have, I don't think they're gonna score as many runs. So I think they got to be under. Give me like 3.54. Give me like 3.54 team ERA.
I think I'll go over here just slightly, though. I don't think it's going to be 4. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be anything ridiculous. I'm not going to say they can't do it, right? But that's a tall ask, I think. Just like 3, mid 3s on a team ERA, that's pretty darn good. Like you'll take that any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Yeah. So to do that, I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying they can't. My gut is telling me they'll be like right at like 3.7, 3.72, something like that. But even that, you'll take that. I mean, that's a good ERA. It's pretty darn good. So
100%. 100%. I would agree with you there. So we'll see. I mean, I just had to go under. Just had to go under just for the heck of it, right? Garrett Mitchell. This is if he stays healthy. Knock on wood, son of a gun. If he stays healthy there. Over under 15 home runs, 20 doubles. So will he go over 15 home runs and 20 doubles? I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over on that one. I was looking through his stats, right? He's always got a small sample size because he doesn't get a lot of at-bats, right? Because he's always hurt. But I looked at his small sample size, 196 at-bats. He had 8 home runs, and he had 12 doubles. Full season? Yeah, I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over 15 home runs, over 20 doubles, no doubt.
I struggle with guys that get injured a lot. I'm always like, I'm scared of him.
He's got to stay healthy one year, right? He's got to stay healthy for one season.
He has to, right? I just, if I'm like a betting man on this one, I don't like the track record of injuries. So for that simple, I think he has the ability. We've talked about his ability, but availability is a big commodity, obviously. So in this case, I will take the under. If he can stay, if he stays healthy, I'll take the over. But it's one of those it's a little risky for me. But he just has to stay in there and stay on the field. That's the biggest thing. So
we got team home runs, the over under for team home runs. Now, last season they had 177, and that was with Willie's 32. So we'll go team home runs over under. We'll take off about 20. We'll go 157. They had 177 with Willie. He had 32. We'll take off 20, 157. Team home runs over under 177. I'm gonna be honest with you. You're gonna be like, what is he talking about, right? I'm taking the over. This is why. Because I believe there's going to be a couple different guys who are going to start launching long balls again that we missed out on last season. Christian Yelich and Rhys Hoskins. I know Rhys had 26, so don't he had home runs, right? I think Rhys Hoskins is going to have a huge year. So, watch him in spring right now. He's launching the baseball. And I know it's spring, so don't freak out or anything like that. But when you launch balls like he is in spring, that's different. I think Rhys Hoskins has found himself again. I think Rhys is going to get hot, and I think Christian Yelich had 11. Think about that 11 total last year. If that back's feeling good and he starts hitting balls, 2019, I believe the first 4 games of the season, he launched a long ball in that season. I could see a similar season where he's 30 home runs again. So if he gets up to 30 again, between Rhys and him hitting balls, like that, and then you add in a healthy Garrett Mitchell, right? Because he had 8 home runs with 196 at-bats there. He had 8 home runs. You give me a healthy Garrett Mitchell, because part of Garrett Mitchell, too, coming back was he just jumped right into the fold. It's hard to jump in mid-season and try to get your form back and start feeling it again. If he can stay healthy, if he can find his bat, if he can watch pitches and be smart with the baseball bat there, I like him to go over that 157.
Yeah, I'm going to take it over as well. I love your point on Rhys. I think he knows he could get a major payday if he comes out of this season with a more productive season than last year. He still got the team option for what, 20 million or 18 million, something like that in the ballpark. So still a pretty good payday for first baseman / DH at this point. But like you said, I think they'll taper off a little bit. Obviously, replacing Willy Adames is you can't really in this situation, but especially from a shortstop, not many shortstops hit bombs like Adames, consistently. But I actually think Joey Ortiz might put up 18 to 20 home runs this year. I liked him with what's that?
He had 11 last year.
That's what I think. I was real big on Joey Ortiz before the Orioles traded him. I think he's a guy, if he can just stay consistent and if he finds it, I think he's a solid player. He just needs to he really hasn't had that many chances. In Baltimore, he had limited chances, and then last season was kind of his first real season long year for him. So yeah, I look for that. And like you said, if somebody like Garrett Mitchell stays healthy, Sal Frelick does more than last season, I think they taper off from the number they had last year because of Adames leaving, but I don't think they're too far off with these other guys stepping up, and I think they do take that over.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that there. And I do agree with the Joey Ortiz. I mean, last season he got hurt too. He was hot to start the year. And then he got hurt and then he came back and it just wasn't the same. So maybe if he stays healthy for a whole year, if he's got that consistent at bat, everybody jacking him up there, I could see it kind of wearing off on him too there. And he's going to start launching the ball. So I agree with that one there. We do have bold predictions for the 2025. So these are my bold predictions that I came up with. Jackson Chourio will be in the 30-30 club. 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases for sure. I'm with that one there. Jackson Chourio, 30-30 club. Christian Yelich is going to have over 30 home runs. Got that feeling. I got that feeling he's going for over 30. 31, 32, I could see him in that range. He last season was in his MVP form. He just didn't have his power. So far in spring, he's got his power back. So if he can translate that into the regular season, he's definitely going over 30 home runs there. I like that one. Rhys Hoskins is going to have 35 plus. Yep, that's where I'm at right now. That's my bold prediction. Rhys Hoskins, 35 plus there. Brandon Woodruff, just because I think he's a dog and I think he is defying logic with his injury comeback here. He is going to come back and he is going to return and be the ace of the staff. I'm with it. Brandon Woodruff's coming back. He's going to be that dog. He's going to be that guy. Craig Yoho, I know we talked about him. You missed the show last week there. Make sure you go listen back to it on the podcast sites. They're Apple, Spotify, everywhere in between. You can find podcasts if you missed the show. But we talked about Craig Yoho. Craig Yoho is going to start the year in the minors, but I think Craig Yoho at some point is going to come up to the bigs. He's going to light it up, and then he's going to be the closer for this Milwaukee Brewer team. That's where I'm at with Craig Yoho. I think he's going to be that guy. And then Joey Ortiz and Bryce Terang are going to combine to be the best middle infield in baseball. All in all, they're going to be the best middle infield in baseball. Defensively, because it's going to be a skewed thing because everybody's going to be like, well, offensively. And it's like, no, I want to put the two together. I want to say defensively and offensively, put all the stats together. Who's your best, right? I think Bryce Terang and Joey Ortiz definitely have that chance because last season, Joey Ortiz was 7th in defensive runs saved. You put him at shortstop now. You have the best second baseman defensively in the game at second base, and Bryce Terang. I don't know. Name a better one. Name a better combo you can have defensively out there as long as they, knock on wood, don't, go backwards. I like where they're at, this Milwaukee Brewer team. So we'll see what happens there. Brewers, Yankees coming up tomorrow there. We're going to have boatload more to talk about baseball next week here on the show after we see a little bit, right? We got to see a little bit, get back in the mode, and then we'll be back into baseball mode there. But we did have breaking news last night there about Damian Lillard for the Bucks there. He's out indefinitely due to a blood clot in his calf. So he had that deep vein thrombosis in his right calf, similar to what Victor Wembanyama had in his right shoulder. Victor Wembanyama was, he's sidelined for the year. Damian Lillard's, looking like he's on, according to what John Horst had to say, Damian Lillard's health is our number one priority. That's 100%. We don't want anything bad to happen there. We will support him as he moves through his weekly process of strict criteria to ensure that he is safe for a return to play. Doctors have indicated that his situation is very unlikely to occur again. We are thankful that that this was identified and medicated quickly, which helps with the recovery. So it's out indefinitely. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to wait and see on that one a little bit there. So Damian Lillard right now is out indefinitely for the team there. So we'll see what happens with the Bucks moving forward, who have struggled as of late here. But Aaron, we had a little bit of news there coming in NFL. Russell Wilson to the Giants and the Patriots scooping up Stephon Diggs. So now Aaron Rodgers, Steelers or bust? Is that where we're at right now?
Have you heard anything out of the Vikings side of
the
things?
Vikings said no. I think it's Kevin O'Connell keeps saying no to this. So the Vikings are saying no. They're going to stick, I'm guessing, with JJ, but nobody's indicated to JJ that they're sticking with him. So it sounds like Rodgers isn't going there. It sounds like it's, going to be Steelers or bust.
I often thought, at least in my own head, like I would be surprised, but not shocked if the 49ers somehow were like last second because they didn't pay Purdy yet. They're like quickly decline, like they're just not the same team, and they're like, okay, if they brought Rodgers in on a 1 year, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I wouldn't completely rule it out. But there hasn't been a lot of talk about it, so chances are probably slim. But yeah, Tomlin, Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, George Pickens, like you're talking about a lot of this could blow up in epic fashion. It really could. I'm not saying it will, but it has the potential to. for sure.
That'd be fun. That'd be funny. But, they got the guys in the room to calm it down. They got the guys in the room to calm it down to, like, Hayward and everything like that.
Yeah,
so
Hayward.
We'll kind of see. We'll kind of see what the NFL does here, but it's been quiet as of late, so we'll see if there's any crazy moves when we come back here next week there. So, Aaron, that's about all we got for today. We got a lot of, college basketball. We got, Sweet 16, Elite 8. It's going to be coming up this weekend here. We don't really care anymore because the Badgers are out, but I guess we'll watch. We got Brewer baseball coming up tomorrow there and over the weekend. We got, oh my goodness, lots to get to next week here on the show. So with that, for Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you guys back here next Wednesday. But until then, see ya.